Well, hello, YouTube. Morgan Muir here. We're doing something a little bit different today. I figured with this new developers update that came out today for Dead by Daylight, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Not only did I do a stream earlier where we just talked about it, talked about this new update, I thought I'd do a YouTube specific video for you guys because I know there's some of you that are watching the couple of matches that I upload to YouTube, which I appreciate. But I think this update needed to be a more specific talk because there's some big changes here, and so I thought I'd make a video dedicated to it. For those that don't know, I am a killer main. I play mostly killer on and off stream. I will dabble in with Survivor from time to time, but I am mostly a killer main. So if you want to say that my view is, whatchamacallit, biased or clouded, you're allowed. But I just want what's best for the game, like everybody. So there's going to be some good changes, some bad changes, some questionable changes. But yeah, let's have a discussion about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments, of course. To start, the Blood Web improvements I think are great. I'm sure many of us have had those moments where you spend like 30 minutes of your time spending all your blood points. And it's a pain. Obviously, it's a pain. So there's two changes happening, or I guess three. The two big ones are the Blood Web chain. So, basically, this allows you to purchase multiple nodes with a single button press. So, for example, there's a perk in your Blood Web. Here, we'll go down here. Let's say you want this offering, so you were to you click this offering. Oh wait, I don't think you guys can see. Hold on. Let's do that. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, you're gonna click this offering here. You click it, just one simple click. Don't even need to hold it anymore, and then the game will automatically collect this, and then go to here. It takes the fastest, not necessarily the cheapest, but the fastest route to the perk add-on offering item that you clicked on. So if there's a perk that you want, boom, click the perk. It'll build the path automatically there for you with one click. That's what the Blood Web chain does. Then there's the automatic purchase, which will basically there's this button here in the middle. You click this, and the game will automatically go through the cheapest option. It will try to prioritize perks. It says so right here. This will try to prioritize perks, then the cheapest option available. But basically, if you just don't really care what the Blood Web is offering you, you just want to get through it, you click the middle button here, just as if you were prestiging right now in the game, and it will select all the cheapest options to spend the least amount of blood points possible after getting perks for you. This can also it'll also be used on partially completed blood webs. But if there's something specific that you want, like let's say you really want this brand new part and you're worried that the autocomplete won't do it, get the brand new part, then click the middle, boom, done. Move on to the next blood web. And then of course there's the press to buy, which will be a toggle. Basically, if you no longer want to click and hold to buy something from the Blood Web, you can toggle this option, and then it's just one click per item. Great changes. Literally, there's nothing wrong with this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with these. So this is great. Visual terror radius, great idea. It's made for the people that are deaf or hard of hearing. Nothing wrong with that. This is what it'll look like. It'll be a little heart. And I think it was. I don't know if this has changed. He's in their chest. This heart will become more vibrant and beat more intensely as the killer. I think it was originally in. There's some discussion that was supposed to grow as the killer got closer, but it'll just be more. It'll just get brighter. Maybe that's what it means by growing in intensity. But regardless, great change. And if you're colorblind, they have different colorblind options as well. Perfect. Awesome. Love that. Autohaven map updates, kind of interesting. Autohaven as a killer main, most of the Autohavens, not all of them, but most of them are probably the most balanced maps. This is why they're used in the competitive scene a lot, because they're just the most balanced. There's a couple, I don't remember the name of it specifically, but there's one that's really easy to 3-gen on, which is not used. However, I think it's interesting that that's not the one that they're talking about. They're specifically talking about the Blood Lodge, where it's harder because there's they have to go around. Stealth killers have to move around the edge of the map to be stealthy because there's just lots of open space in the middle, which isn't very fun for stealth killers. And there's a lot of strong loops tied together, especially around the Blood Lodge here. So rather than the Blood Lodge being closer to the edge of the map, it'll be in the middle. And they'll probably put the Killer Shack here instead if they're going to keep it. We'll see what happens there. And then Gas Haven. The biggest change here is the cars that you see. And then kind of where the picture is taken. There's also, like if a survivor was taking this screenshot from where they're standing, behind where this person took the screenshot is the other row of cars. They block line of sight completely, and they're really annoying to loop around. It's a time waster for killer. It's hard but for stealth killers, it's hard to see stealth killers coming if you're from on the survivor side. So what they're doing is breaking up the cars, possibly putting maybe pallets in between them, maybe not. And it will help with line of sight. It will encourage people to use them more for looping, and allow killers to use them as well for pathing rather than, because I mean, when I play killer, I just ignore if there's gens behind these cars, which generally there is. I just ignore it. There's literally no point going there. It takes so long to get there. So now you can kind of go through the cars rather than around. So that's nice. And it won't be as much as of a dead zone, because that was the other flip side, is if you did want to chase in that direction as a killer, you could make it a massive dead zone, and survivors they were guaranteed to go down because there's nothing they could do. Now here's probably the biggest change, is healing. Now there's going to be a lot of back and forth on this. The biggest one. So this is something to keep in mind. An emergency medkit alone can heal the damage done after a long chase. That's a chase extended by Dead Hard. That's a chase where you get body blocked. That's a chase where the survivor is just great at looping. Maybe there's lucky pallet spawns or tile spawns in general. And you could, with an emergency medkit, heal within 10 seconds. And that doesn't include any perks or any add-ons. So imagine as a killer chasing someone for 30 seconds, you injure them, and then you hit them again, they have Dead Hard, or they get body blocked, or 2 gens just popped, and now you have to go defend the gens now. Or you're trying to guarantee a kill because you haven't been able to get anyone down yet, or you're trying to make the game a save really unsafe by injuring all the different survivors. All of that is negated in about 10 seconds. Of course, it's way less when you factor in perks and add-ons. So now all of a sudden that's changed. That could go from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. Uh, so all of your work is completely negated. So making it so this is kind of where the first change happens. Yeah, so keeping survivors injured and switching targets are often wise decisions. This is accurate. With this in mind, we have a few changes to store for healing to make switching targets more practical. Because what ends up happening is this means that any chase doesn't end with a hook, even if they manage to damage a survivor, is completely undone in the matter of 10 seconds. So, to make switching targets more practical, healing will now take 24 seconds by default instead of 16. So, not quite double, little less than double. But that's a good start because I think that will basically, instead of being 10 seconds with an emergency medkit to heal, well, actually, and that got changed. It still got changed. So it's gonna, no matter what, it's gonna take 24 seconds at base, not including perks, add-ons, etc. So that's a pretty big change. This combined with a later change, which we'll talk about, is it's pretty big. But on top of this, they have rebalanced the medkits across the board. So now all medkits will have 24 charges by default, allowing for one heal before they deplete. And that's all across the board. That's every medkit. So camping medkit, common, first aid, emergency. So yellow or brown, yellow, green, purple, all have 24 charges. I think right now, yellow and brown have 16, green has 10, and the purple has 24, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers. Or it's like these two have 24, this one has 16, and then this one has a different number. But regardless, they're all going to be 24. And they no longer increase healing speed on yourself. And the healing done to your friends, altruistic healing, is also being reduced. So brown is going from 25% to 20%, 35% to 25%, etc., etc. So not only is healing yourself going to take longer because of the 24-second change, but it's also going to take longer to heal your friends as well. And then there's just they're giving you skill check zones for purple medkit, which, if you consider perks like resurgence, is it reassurance? No, resurgence. The Rebecca perk with, if you hit skill checks, you do things faster. This is kind of interesting. So, with all of this in mind, the first thing I think about as killer is, okay, I can remove your medkit almost completely with Franklin's now, and I throw in Sloppy Butcher, you're not even going to be able to heal yourself once. And that's also, they've done a pass on medkit add-ons. There's some that are overperforming. With the new healing in mind, it is now impossible for a medkit to heal a survivor more than twice in a match. more than twice, which is kind of big. So with Franklin's, with Sloppy Butcher, I guarantee that it'll be never more than once. But yeah, so no matter how many charges you add to your med kit, you'll still never be able to heal more than twice. That's a big change. I think that alone is fine, personally. I think it's insane to think that even if I'm a survivor, I'm being chased, killer hits me, I run off, I start healing, he catches up to me, I run, I loop, I throw down a pallet, I keep healing. I run, go down to the next pallet, throw it, healing, and eventually I've healed myself, and I can do that multiple times. That is insane to me, personally. I think that's crazy. That shouldn't be possible. So this change alone, I think, addresses an issue like that. These nerfs overall might be a little bit crazy when you now start factoring in Franklin's and Sloppy Butcher, where now Franklin's could essentially negate any mid kit from healing you even once. And like it does already, no matter how many charges you have. And on top of that, you throw in Sloppy Butcher. Now healing is going to go from 24 seconds. I don't even know what the math is on that, but it's it's definitely over 30 seconds. So maybe they should have done one or the other, but maybe not both. We'll have to see how it works on the PTB, but maybe keep the charges how they are, but increase the speed so that in the chase, maybe if you have a really strong med kit in a chase, you can heal yourself, but you can't do it as much or as fast, one or the other. So that's interesting. Then you combine that with a change we'll talk about in a second. The healing is going to take a massive hit, and I'm going to talk about what I think killers are going to be doing here pretty soon, because now we're getting into the killer nerfs. Gearhead, there's a change where when a survivor loses health state, Gearhead activates. Any survivor who hits a good skill check will have their aura revealed. Interesting. I don't think it'll see any play, if I'm being honest. Overzealous is getting buffed to the point where it was conflicting with people cleansing totems and people who were boon lovers, which is fair. Overzealous will activate when blessing a totem in addition to cleansing. Okay, fair enough. Funny though that they did that because they changed a blessing totem. We'll get to that in a second though. They've also buffed it from 8 to 10%, which I think is fine. It's kind of funny that there's just another way for survivors to increase gen speeds, but I think this, in the grand scheme of things, is incredibly minor. It might see some play, but I don't think it'll see as much as other perks have. Like it's not like this is replacing Prove Thyself or Resurgence, or I would still do this over the new perk that Thalita has. Pain Resonance is getting a nerf. It's now the perk starts with 4 tokens each. The first time each survivor is hooked on a Scourge hook, obviously, the generator with the most progression will explode. So rather than, because right now what happens is a survivor goes for a trade on a hook, essentially. And when you have Pain Resonance, a killer is 1,000% okay with trading in these scenarios because you're coming in for hook trades, and killers can just constantly regress the gems without even having to move. So that's really strong. But now it's only the first 4 times essentially that you hook each individual survivor. So basically, you only get 4 uses out of it. Each time you hook a survivor the first time, it goes off. After that's useless because it literally just goes away. Interesting idea. It was really strong. However, there's also scenarios where it did literally nothing. Um, because either the hook isn't close enough to you, or I've done matches where 1 to 2 gens go off. I can do a 30-second chase, and 1 to 2 gens go off before I even get the first hook. And so then the perk loses a lot of value off of that. So I don't know. That'll be kind of interesting. We'll get to Dead Hard in a second. We're gonna stick with the killer stuff first. Call of Brine is being nerfed from 200% to 125% when you kick it. That's a pretty sizable nerf. Overcharge is also being nerfed. It is going from 200% to 230, or 130, sorry. So Overcharge is now stronger than Call of Brine, technically, which is really funny. And the regression speed starts at 85%. It was 75%. So at this point, including Pain Resonance, every single killer perk tied to gen regression has been nerfed. Most of them, the only one that hasn't been touched, I think, is Deadlock, which isn't necessarily tied to regression. It's just gen defense overall. They've been nerfed to, not all of them to the point, but most of them have been nerfed to the point of unusable. No one runs Ruin anymore. Corrupt Intervention sees a lot less power. Pop, of course, isn't used. Eruption isn't used anymore as much after the most recent change. However, they did fix it, so some can argue that it's still a little bit used, but not as much anymore. We now lost Call of Brine, Overcharge, and Pain Resonance now. Pain Resonance might still see some play between Call of Brine and Overcharge. I think Overcharge would be used more. Maybe. It's honestly hard to tell because it does more regression now than Call of Brine, but it has to build up. However, the skill check thing can still throw people off sometimes. So I don't know. It's kind of 6 one way, half dozen the other kind of thing. Call of Brine still giving you the a survivor's working on this gen because they completed a good skill check is still something to keep in mind, but I don't know. So because there's just a lot of gen regression being taken away, so because of this, killers are going to have to turn to another playstyle, which we'll get in a second because we're almost done the survivor changes because they go hand in hand. So now let's talk about the big one, Dead Hard, or the second big one. There's one more big one after this. Dead Hard will activate after safely unhooking a survivor. So that means it works just like Deliverance. Deliverance doesn't work or can't activate until after you hook a survivor. So if you're the first survivor caught and you have Dead Hard, you can't use it. Which I know there's a lot of people upset about that. I know it. I think this part of it is a really good change. I think that part is really good because for a killer to find a survivor, however long it takes you, to do a 30-second chase and to lose 1 to 2 gens, that alone feels bad. That just feels bad. Now you throw in Dead Hard into that 30-second chase could be who knows how long. It could be an extra 5 seconds. It could be an extra minute. All because of Dead Hard. Dead Hard even had, and I know a lot of people don't see this, but Dead Hard has the ability to be powerful without even having it on you. Without even using the perk. Killers fear Dead Hard. That's how powerful the perk was. Killers are so scared of Dead Hard that they will sit there, and I've seen this as playing as a survivor. They will sit there and not hit you for 10 seconds. You're just running circles around them because they're trying to wait out your Dead Hard because, like, I know you have it. I know you have it. Where is it? Where is it? And then they finally swing, and then you Dead Hard, and then they get mad. Or they finally swing and they hit you because you didn't have Dead Hard. But that was 10 seconds you bought yourself just just because of Dead Hard alone, even though you didn't even have it. So this change gives killers the security, the calmness of, okay, I found my first survivor. I don't have to worry about Dead Hard. I found my first survivor. That is a guaranteed down. I'm okay with that. The Dead Hard, but they took it one step further with Dead Hard will deactivate when it successfully protects the user from damage. That's the part where I don't know if that is super necessary. It's again one of those things of do one or the other, not both. And I feel like Behavior is really good at doing that, where they nerf two aspects of a perk. For example, Eruption. They removed the incapacitation effect and nerfed the regression part of it. Now they went back and changed it so it removed the incapacitation but kept the same amount of regression damage it did to gens. So, and that's, how we were talking about the healing, right? Where they're making it longer to heal, and it has less charges. Or all not less charges necessarily, but all medkits have the same amount of charges, where a survivor can never heal more than twice. So maybe this will get looked at, but this is one of those double whammies. And as a killer main, I could see it completely removing Dead Hard. Maybe not completely. That might be an over-exaggeration, but I feel like survivors won't run it as much, especially because they can only use it once. And that's just like, that's obviously just like Decisive Strike, right? Decisive Strike you can only use once. So that's a big one. Dead Hard dead. Finally, who knows? Now we'll go to the Boon Circle of Healing. This is the other big one. It's become a jack of all trades. Agreed. It allows, not only does it allow you and your fellows to allow you and your survivors to heal without a med kit, but it also increases the speed of healing across the board. So what they're doing is you can no longer heal without a med kit. You need a med kit to heal inside the boon now. That is massive. That alone changes the perk drastically. And instead it will provide a healing speed bonus to healing others, which is okay, fine. So, and you can injured survivors within the boon's range are revealed to all others, which whatever. Helpful, sure, but even I know as a killer main that's kind of irrelevant, but compared to what they're losing. So Boon is now I would argue that Boon Circle of Healing is now dead. As a killer main, I'm saying that. As a survivor, as from a survivor's perspective, I feel like that's fair to say. So you combine this with the nerfs to the medkits, survivors are going to have a difficulty healing, which sometimes is a killer match. There's matches where I see 4 medkits, and I'm like, if there's at least 2 boons, no one's dying. There's just so much healing. Like, there's just no progress. But I feel like Behavior, once again, went overboard. Boone Circle of Healing needed a nerf. My solution to this, and I've talked about this a lot, is allow survivors to heal themselves still without a med kit, but give the boon charges. So like let's say a boon has the amount of charges to heal 3 health states. Let's say 4 health states because there's 4 survivors. I'll even say 4 health states. Yeah, that's fine. So there's 4 health states within the boon for the charges. Any survivor can use them. Any survivor can use them as many times as they want. But after those charges go away, the boon dies. That was one thing I talked about. The other option is allow killers to just destroy the boon, just like how survivors can destroy hex totems. Allow killers without the perk to destroy boon totems, force the boon to go somewhere else if it's able to, and that would be a change. Preventing them from healing without a med kit is maybe overkill. When you combine it with the med kit nerf, because what's essentially going to happen is people are going to run medkits less, in theory, and they're going to run Circle of Healing less. So now no one's going to be healing, which great. As a killer main, I love that. Great, awesome. but honestly, like I don't think that was the right path. So we'll see how that goes. Let me just make sure this is still recording. Yeah, we are. Okay, good. I had some difficulties earlier. Now we're going to talk about this. So here's my thoughts, I guess, on what's going to happen with Killer. Because of the Call of Brine, an Overcharge, and Pain Resonance nerf, with the Circle of Healing nerf, and with medkit nerfs, killers are going to run Sloppy Butcher, and you could see Franklin's more. Survivors will never be able to heal. They're going to ignore gens completely. They're going to either do something that's better at looping or chasing, like maybe Brutal Strength to break pallets. You might see more legions. You'll see more plagues. Although plagues negate healing to begin with anyways. Any killer that uses hemorrhage or mangled add-ons you might see more of, but really it's going to be the Franklins and Sloppy Butcher. And then you run either Brutal Strength or Bamboozle or both. Just to shut down loops quicker. You hook someone, you leave, and or you just do hit and run tactics, right? You chase a survivor off a gen, hit them, kick the gen, and go for someone else, and just prevent healing from happening. And then survivors are going to have to stay unhealthy for longer. So I think that's where the killer meta is going to go. They're just going to remove their medkits with Franklins. Sloppy Butcher will prevent you from healing yourself, probably even once in some scenarios. And color phobia, that's going to see some more use. And then you're probably going to get matches with more Doctor with Terror Radius builds, Wesker Terror Radius builds with anti-healing. That's what's going to happen, in my opinion, because killers are going to care less about gen defense now because they have literally 0 options now. There's no Call of Brine gone, Overcharge gone, Eruptions gone, Pain Resonance gone. There's just no gen defense now. So they're going to kick a gen with nowhere to hide, find you, chase you, injure you, move on to the next survivor. And that's going to be their gen defense. Their gen defense isn't going to be using perks to regress it. Their gen defense is going to be pushing you away, injuring you, and making you take forever to heal. And then in that time, the if they are running Call of Brine or Overcharge still, that might buy them enough time for it to be about to the same strength of where it was before. So that's what we'll have to see. In terms of Survivor meta, I see it. Dead Hard's going to fall. Circle of Healing's going to fall. And it's going to turn into a more stealth meta, possibly. Sprint Burst, Urban Evasion, maybe Self-Aware, and Distortion. So Aura can't be read. You're going to walk faster. You're going to crouch faster. Maybe even throw in Iron Will in there now. Or the Leon perk where if you heal yourself, you're silent. But maybe not because of the healing nerfs. But basically the idea is you're just going to be silent. You're going to be stealthy. As soon as a killer sees you, you just sprint burst away. And then you can walk back relatively quickly. So I think that's how the meta's going to shift. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the specific killers. Some of these are whatever, like add-on movement speed for the pig, whatever. The hillbilly one's kind of odd. They're like changing heat management. They're going to make it more forgiving. Heat will begin to dissipate as soon as the chain sprint ends, meaning the most heat generation from a short sprint will already be gone. It's interesting. Just a lot of these are kind of irrelevant. The clown's probably the biggest one, but even then it's whatever. The only other big change here is bright light interactions removal. So I didn't actually know this about the game, but when Dead by Daylight was first released, only 3 killers were in the game. That I knew. It wasn't unreasonable to bring a toolbox in case you faced against a trapper or a flashlight to burn the Wraith. I guess I didn't realize that that's kind of what they designed those items for when it was a 1 in 3 chance. So, but now those killers obviously see less play. So, and that's where they remove the ability to sabotage the bear traps with the toolbox. So because of that, they're removing the flashlight to prevent certain killer's powers. So the Wraith will no longer be burned by the flashlight. The nurse can no longer be burned while blinking. The artist can't have her crows killed by flashlights. And the hag is probably the most impactful. Flashlights have long been the sole counter to the traps. But to ensure that this... where is it? We're removing the flashlight's effect from the hag's power is a little trickier since it would leave survivors no option. So while this will allow all survivors to clear traps. Oh, where is it? Survivors will need to spot the trap, crouch over it to avoid setting off, then perform a several second long action to clear it. They wipe it away. So survivor crouches, they like wipe away there's the little symbol. They wipe away the symbol. The trap's disabled. It'll just take several seconds. So anyone can do it. This prevents survivors with a flashlight from destroying the trap mid-chase as well, which was a thing. So you can't destroy hag traps. You can't destroy artist crows. You can't blind the nurse during blink. You can't blind the Wraith or burn the Wraith during his cloak. Honestly, I think that's fine. It's whatever. They gave weird reasoning behind it, but overall, I think it's fine. And then these changes are just about more character stuff. As we've done in the past with Ghostface and Overbill, licensed killers come from a franchise of their own with their own stories to tell. They're just talking about the tomes and stuff. So that's different. But yeah, those are the changes. Thanks for watching this video. It's something a little bit different that I haven't done before. I wanted to try it out. I'm all for open discussion. And I know I talked from a very killer focused or biased point of view. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to have a discussion. I love having these discussions about these kinds of changes. Too strong, too weak, too killer sided, too survivor sided. I gave my honest opinions on where I think the meta's going to go, if they went too far with certain nerfs. But I really do love to hear your thoughts. Come by one of my streams and talk about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments in the video, whatever it is. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, come by a stream, drop a follow, a subscribe, a like, anything really. There's been a lot of you that have been watching the videos, and I appreciate the support that I have been given recently. It means a lot. It really does. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.